Alright, so today we're going to go over factoring the greatest common factor. Okay, so I'm going to start off with your warm-up. So our warm-up here is just like a couple problems on the CBQ yesterday. We want to get rid of these parentheses, right? We want to simplify it by distributing. Okay, so we want to distribute this A, so we're going to do A times 3A. So that would be 3A squared. And then A times 7 would be 7A. Right? Now we have negative 2m times m squared. So remember, negative 2m negative 2m times m squared means I have negative 2m times m, which means it's negative 2m cubed. So this is negative 2m cubed. So now I have to do negative 2m times 6m. So negative 2 times 6 would be negative 12. And negative m times m is just m squared. This is a1. Negative 12m squared. And then last, negative 2m times negative 1. So I have negative 2 times negative 1, and that would be a positive 2, and then m. Okay, and then here, I still have to distribute all of this. So 4x cubed y times x squared. So x cubed times y squared, you add the exponents, right? So it's going to be x to the 5th power. So I have 4x to the 5th power times y. And all of this times this, so I have 4 times negative 2 would be negative 8. X cubed, there's no other x, so it's just x cubed. And then y times y is y squared. Okay, and so that's how you distribute and simplify those polynomials. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're basically going to go factor, and we're going to go backwards. Okay, so factoring is when you separate a polynomial back into a product. Okay, so an example would be if I start off with 4a squared plus 8a, I can factor out, and I want to predict what they distributed. Just like over here we distributed, we're starting here, and we want to make our way backwards here. So you're going to find the greatest common factor, and here it would be 4. And there's an a in both, so I'm going to put an a. And they multiply times a plus 2. Because if I distribute this 4a times a, I'm going to get 4a squared. And if 4a times 2 would be 8a. And that's exactly what I have over here. Okay, so we're going backwards basically. Okay, and polynomials that can't be factored are called prime. You probably went over this a little bit. Okay, so there's different ways to do it, and we're going to start with GCF. We've already done the difference of squares. That was a way of factoring. Okay, but we're now going to do the GCF. Okay, so the greatest common factor, you want to check the coefficients for a GCF. So we're going to check the numbers first, and then once we're done with the numbers, we're going to look at the variables, and there has to be the same variable in each of the terms. Okay, and then out of all those different variables, you're going to choose the one with the smallest exponent. Okay, so we check the coefficients first, then we look at the variables, and they must be present in all the terms, and then we're going to look for the smallest exponent. Then you divide each term by the GCF and leave the remaining factors in parentheses. Okay, and you can check your work by distributing. Okay, so I'm going to work out all the odd ones for you, and you're going to be doing the even ones. Okay, so here, 3x plus 12. So the GCF, you can figure that out by Desmos. You're going to need Desmos, so if you need to pause, go ahead and pause and open it up real quick. Okay, so to figure out the GCF, what you're going to do is you're going to actually type out GCF. So GCF. C and F, okay, and then it turns back into a different kind of font, okay, and then you're going to put parentheses, and depending on how many terms you are going to have, that's how many numbers you're going to put. So like on number 1, if you look, we have 2 terms, we have 3x and we have 12, okay, so we're only going to put 2 numbers, and the 2 numbers that I'm going to put are 3 and then comma 12. And so if you see here, this is a 3. This is a 3 right here. So that means the GCF is 3 out of those 2 numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide each term by 3. But first I need to check variables. So here I have an x. Here I don't have an x. So I can't take out an x. I can only take out the numbers. So I'm going to divide each one by 3. 3x divided by 3, this cancels out, and then 12 divided by 3 is 4, so I have x plus 4. And what we did was we took that GCF, the 3, and we're putting it now outside of the parentheses, okay? And so when you distribute, you should end up with the same answer. So 3 times x would be 3x. And 3 times 4 would be positive 12. And that's exactly what we had in the beginning. Okay? Alright, so let's look at number 3. So same thing, we're going to go to Desmos, and we're going to type in our 2 coefficients. So our 2 coefficients are 8 and 36. 8, 36. Okay? So my GCF is going to be 4. My greatest common factor is 4. Okay, so I'm dividing by 4. Now, M. Is there an M over here? No. Okay, so I can't divide by an M. Now, N. There's no N here, so I can't divide by that either. So I'm only dividing by a 4. Okay, so 8 divided by 4 would be 2. And then 36 divided by 4 would be 9. And then I'm multiplying that by now my GCF, which is 4. And to check your answer, again, you distribute. So 4 times 2m would be 8m. What is that? And then 4 times 9 would be 36m. Okay. So really we're really only using Desmos to figure out what we're dividing by, and then we divide each term by that coefficient. Alright, so let's go to the back. Number 5, 6a squared and 27. So I'm going to put 6 and 27. 7, and so my common factor is 3. So I'm going to divide, and this one has an a squared, but there's no a here, so I can't take anything out but a 3. So 6 divided by 3 would be 2, and then a squared stays there, plus 27 divided by 3 would be 9. And then don't forget to put your GCF on the outside. Again, you have to figure out, you have to check your answer. So 3 times 2 would be 6 a squared, and then 3 times 9 would be 27. So that's good. Alright, so let's look at number 7. Number 7, same thing. We want to type in our two coefficients. So we have 21 and 3, negative 3. I'm just going to put 3. So it's 3. So I'm going to divide by 3 first. But then I see CD and this one has a D. Now, I have a D in both of these. So since I have a D in both of them, that means I can also divide by D. Okay, so this D cancels out, so 21 divided by 3 is 7. And I still have a C there. And then minus, these both cancel out, but really I still have a 1 there. And so now, not only am I multiplying by 3, but I'm also multiplying by D, because that's what I divided by. So if I distribute this, 3D times 7C, 3 times 7 is 21, and D times C is CD, and then 3D times negative 1 is negative 3D. That's exactly what I have up here. Okay, so let's try number 9. So same thing, we're going to put our coefficients in Desmos. It's going to be 15 and 30. So my GCF is 15. So I'm for sure going to divide each term by 15 first. Now I got to check my variables. So I have a squared and a. So if you have the same variable but different exponents, remember you're choosing the one with the smallest exponent. Okay, so this technically has an exponent of 1. Right? So a squared and a to the first power, we're only going to divide by a. Okay. And then I have a b here and a b here as well, so I'm also dividing by a b. Okay? They have to be in both terms. If they're not, then you can't divide by it. Okay, so 15 divided by 15 cancels out. A squared divided by a. So a squared divided by a would be a times a divided by a. So if I cancel one out, I'm left with a. So this is a. And then b divided by b cancels out. So then 30 divided by 15 is 2. The a's cancel out, the b's cancel out. So, and what goes in the front is 15ab, since that's what I divided by. Alright, so now looking at number 11. Number 11, there is no coefficients, so I just need to look at the variables. Okay, so my variables here, I have a, b, and a. The only one they have in common are a, so I have to divide by a. Okay, so this cancels out, I'm left with a b, and then a divided by a is 1. So I divided by a, so that's what goes on the outside. And if you distribute, this becomes a times b, and then a times negative 1 is negative a. Alright. Now I'm going to jump to number 17. Or real quick, I want to show you number 13. Number 13, okay. So 5 and 13. So I'm going to check my coefficients, 5 and 13. 13. If you see 1 here, that means we can't do anything. We can't factor out anything. So we're going to call this prime. Okay, if you see a 1 on your GCF, that means we cannot factor out a GCF. Okay, so let's look at number 17. I want to show you number 17 because it has bigger exponents. So 6, 14, and negative 10. So now we have 3 terms. So since we have 3 terms, we're now going to put 3 numbers in our GCF. So the 3 numbers are 6, 14, and 10. And so my greatest common factor is 2. So I'm dividing all of them by 2. Now I need to look at my variables. So this one's y to the 4th, y to the 3rd, and y squared. So they all have a y, but I'm going to divide by the one with the smallest exponent, and that is a 2. So I'm dividing by 2y squared. 2y squared. Okay, so 6 divided by 2, well, let me put the 2y squared outside. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now y to the 4th divided by y squared. So remember this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 1, 2. And if I want to cancel out, I'm left with 2 y's, which is y squared. Right? Or remember, you're just subtracting the exponents. 4 minus 2 is 2. This is 3y squared. And 14 divided by 2 is 7. And y cubed divided by y squared. Remember, if I'm dividing exponents, then I need to subtract the exponents. So 3 minus 2 would be 1, or y. Y to the first power, which is just y. Okay? And then 10 divided by 2 is 5. And y squared divided by y squared cancels out. So this is it. And this would be your answer. Okay. Now, last one I'm going to go over is number 21. And then you're going to be doing your assignment on school. Okay, so number 21, I have a 1, a 1, and a 5. If you ever have a 1, that means you can only factor out a 1, so we can't factor out any numbers. We can only do variables. Right? If there's no coefficients, you can't do, you can't factor out, you can't divide by a number like we did up here. Okay, so now we're going to look at the variables. I have an m, and an n. So let's look at the exponents. This one has 3, this one has 2, and remember this one has 1. So I'm only dividing by m to the 1, which is just m. Now let's look at the n's. This is n to the first power, n squared, and n cubed. So they all have an n. Now I can only divide by the one with the smallest exponent, which is just n. Okay? So, and I'm doing it on all of them. Oh, not n, just n. Okay? So then now I'm going to cancel this stuff out. So, n cubed divided by n, remember, is n squared. So mn, so this is m squared. The n's cancel out. Minus m squared divided by m is m. N squared divided by n is n. Right. And then 5 divided by no number is just going to stay as 5. Then these m's cancel out. Then n cubed divided by n would be n squared. Okay. And another way to check your answers is to put your answer in Desmos and then your original function in Desmos. If the graphs match, then they're correct. And remember, if you have more than one variable, you're not going to be able to graph them, so you're going to have to add a slider. You have to add a slider and assign numbers. Remember, you want to skip 0 and 1. You want to do 2, 3, 4. And you want to make sure they're different numbers, right? Okay, and it's going to equal some value. Oh, here, let me show you. Okay, so that one was so you're going to click all, and then you're going to add a slider, change the number, make sure they're different. And on the answer choice, or on the next box, you're going to put your answer. And you should get the exact same number. So here I got the same number, and here I got the same number. So you type your question, your answer choice, and you make sure you click all slider, and then you assign 2 different numbers as long as they're not 0 or 1. Alright? When you're done, you're going to do the assignment on Schoology. It's all of the even numbers from the worksheet. Alright? So go ahead and work on that.